Okay, we need to be real here. I have a baby shower to go to tomorrow, and I need to make up something really, really quick and super cute. We've all been there. Life gets really, really, really busy at times, and before you know it, that event that was 2 months away is all of a sudden on your doorstep, and tomorrow. My name is Sarah YM. Join me as I make up an adorable baby hat with 2 super cute pom-poms for my dear friend. Okay, let's talk about the hat really quick. It's gonna be a cute baby hat with a ribbed brim and 2 pom-poms. Pretty simple. Think I can do it in one day. I'm going to be using Caron Simply Soft, which is a worsted or medium weight Aran weight yarn in the color Lipstick. I will also be using US size 6 and US size 8 circular knitting needles. Hi, Editing Sarah here. I'm actually going to be using double pointed needles. You'll see me notice that mistake in a minute. I will need a darning or yarn needle or tapestry needle, whatever you want to call it, at the end to weave in the ends and sew on my pom-poms. Plus I will need some scrap cardboard and some regular scissors to make those pom-poms. Okay, let's get started because I'm running out of time. Let's get started by casting on our stitches to our needles. So the pattern that I'm using would normally cast on 56 stitches for this size of hat, but because of the way I'm going to join in the round, I'm actually going to cast on 57 stitches. So I'm going to start with a slip knot, that on my needle, and I'm using the long tail cast on method. Ooh, flip that around. Just remember, I'm left-handed, so I like to do it this way, but feel free to do whatever works for you. So what I'm doing, the way I like to do it is I like to have my long tail, I hold it between my middle finger and my forefinger and give it some tension like this, and I take the part that's attached to the ball of yarn, I take with my middle finger and my thumb, and I tuck my thumb under like this and pull up. So I've got this tension, almost like a little V. Okay. So I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to go under the outside of the thumb, up over, under the tail, and pull up. You don't want to make this too tight because you're going to knit through it, but you want it consistent, or as consistent as you can make it. So again, make like a little V, you go under where the thumb is, up and over the top one, and pull up, and just tighten. So the part that's creating the loop around the needle is the long tail. Again, and you're going to keep going. I'm going to keep going till I get 57, and then I will show you how I'm going to join in the round. All right, we are back. And quick edit, everyone. This is just to prove that we can all make mistakes. Silly, silly me. This is a baby hat. It's tiny. I can't make it on circular needles because look, it's too, even on a 16-inch, it's just too small. So I actually have to make this with double pointed needles. So I'm just gonna quickly move my 57 stitches over to my double pointed needles, and I'm going to evenly distribute the stitches over 3 of them. Okay, we're back. So I've got my double pointed needles. They're quite long, but it's okay. It just means a lot of shifting the stitches up and down the needles as we move. It's okay. It's manageable. It's doable. So now I have this and I want to join it in the round. First thing is, this is where we just finished casting on. We want to make sure all our stitches, like if this was to make a triangle, are not twisted anywhere. Okay. Now we're going to move all the stitches to the end of the needles here. This is that additional stitch we've just cast on. We're going to slip this first stitch onto that needle purlwise. Boom. Now we want to take this additional stitch we made and we want to slip it over. These needles are long. I may have to adjust this, but it's okay. I don't have time. I need this done by tomorrow. I can do it. We're going to take this additional stitch and we're going to slip it over and drop it. There we go. And now we're going to take this first stitch and pass it back over. Okay, we're going to pull everything tight. Okay, so I'm going to take my extra 4th double pointed needle to start working the pattern. So I'm going to work on the rib, and I'm going to make a rib with a knit 2, purl 2 pattern and keep going around and around and around until the brim is about 1.5 inches. I'm going to knit 2, knit 1. Double pointed can get a little funny. Knit 1, knit 2, and to the front, purl 2. And I also find the first few rows can be a little tough, a bit awkward, but as the piece gets bigger and you get into it, it becomes a bit easier. I think it's just because your start is a bit further away from the needles, if that makes any sense. Anyways, we're going to keep going around in this pattern of knit 2, purl 2. So again, for the knit, we're going to take our needle, put it through, yarn over, pull up, front to back, yarn over, oops, pull up, and to purl, we're going to bring our yarn to the front, needle through the front loop, from back to front, yarn over and through. So again, knit 2, knit 1, knit 2. I guess how I distributed. I'm going to be purling my last one here. Apologies for the sound. It's just I don't have shorter double pointed needles in this size, so they're quite lengthy. Oops, I want to keep that forward because I'm purling the next one. So this is the needle that I just finished using, and now I'm going to be using it to knit the next one. Okay, welcome back. By now you should have the brim of your hat, and it should be about 1.5 inches in length if you're making the same size hat as myself. And now I'm gonna work on the body. So look, I'm gonna switch over to my larger needles, and they are also super long like this, but you know, I'm making do. It's what I have. For the body, we are going to be working in a stockinette stitch for the next 2.5 inches. So because we're working the round, we're just gonna knit straight for 2.5 inches. Okay, so this is, I don't know if this is the right way to do this, but this is how I switch to needles. My working needle now is my size 8, and just make sure that as you switch off this first row of the body, that you switch over to the size 8 needles. Okay, so I've worked up the hat so that there's 2.5 inches in the body, 1.5 inches in the brim, so total 4 inches. Now we're gonna work one round decreasing. Now we're only going to decrease 1 stitch. We're going to knit 10, knit 2 together, and knit the rest of the way around. Now we're going to knit 2 together. So we're going to take my knitting needles, put it underneath 2, now I'm just going to knit the rest of the way around. Okay, we worked our decreasing round, and now we're going to shape the crown of the hat. In this part, I'm going to be using some stitch markers. I'm going to knit 11. There's my cat. Okay, now that we've done the first round of shaping the crown, let's do the second round of shaping the crown. We're going to knit 9, knit 2 together, slip our marker, knit 9, knit 2 together, slip our marker, and so on and so on and so on. Go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, the next round is just knitting. And whenever you come to a stitch marker, you're just going to pass it over. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to repeat where we knit 2 before the stitch marker and then knit 2 together. Okay, now we have completed to where, this is really hard to see, but we have 10 stitches on our needles, 2 stitches in between each stitch marker. Keep in mind, like, this would be a stitch marker in between these 2 needles, and this would be a stitch marker in between these 2 needles. So it would be 5 stitch markers, but it's just the way I've spaced them out on my needles. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go around the next round and we're going to knit 2 together all the way around, which will leave 5 stitches on. Then we're going to cut a long tail of our yarn and finish off basically the structure of the hat. Cute little hat for a baby is done. I am going to block it tonight because I do find that giving it as a gift, it just always looks more finished when it's blocked. It's going to be a bit difficult because I don't have a round, you know, blocking ball, something like that to block hats on. I'm going to make do. I'll figure it out. It'll work. It always works out. We figure it out. Then I'm going to make the pom-poms tonight, and once it's dry tomorrow, I'm going to sew on the pom-poms and finish it off with a cute little label. Just those little finishing touches like blocking in a label, especially when you're giving it as a gift, are really, really nice. But we did it. We did it. I have to run. I have to run to rehearsal, so I'm going to go and do that, then come back and finish up all the things I mentioned. And I'll see you guys in a minute when we dive into how to make these cute little pom-poms. Okay, let's make our pom-poms. So what you're gonna need is some cardboard. I'm taking this old box that has some stuff delivered in, and I'm just gonna break it on down because we're gonna draw on it. Okay, we have our cardboard. You're gonna grab something round about the size of the pom-pom you want. So I'm gonna use this candle. I'm just gonna go ahead, and you're gonna trace 2 circles. And in the center of the circle, you want to take something that's smaller. Sometimes use a quarter, but right now I just have a nickel. I think it should be okay. You're going to place that in the center as best you can and trace that. Okay, we're all done tracing. And now we're just gonna cut it out. Basically, we're gonna cut out a donut. So you wanna cut around and then cut the center circle out. And it's okay to cut that center circle. You are gonna, or you can just cut straight through, because we're gonna cut a little pie out anyways of the big circle. And this little opening, you're going, maybe I'll make it a little bigger. You want to match it. So both pieces have it. Ta-da! Now we've got two. And we're ready to go with our yarn. So now you're going to take your yarn and wrap the end around. You're just going to kind of wrap over it. Try not to wrap too tight. That's something I do all the time. All right, so we've wrapped it around a bunch of times. And see how it's like thick? Should be a nice fluffy pom-pom. What I like to do is I do like to cut this off. I'm using the wrong scissors. We'll not use those later. And there we go. So now we're going to take some nice sharp scissors. I'm going to use these ones. Also because they're really pointy and get right in between. But you're going to go in between the two pieces of cardboard. And you're going to start snipping all the way around. So you want good sharp scissors. I like to kind of hold it too, just to keep it all together. Oopsie. Go all the way around. All right. Next thing is we're going to place that down. So I'm going to cut quite a long piece of yarn, because this will also be the tail that we use to attach the pom-pom to the hat. So I take this and I'm going to slide it ever so gently in between the two pieces of cardboard. There we go. And we're going to tie. Tie, 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 tie. Nice and tight as you can make it. I'm going to knot it. Ta-da! And now we can remove our cardboard. All right. So we have our pom-pom, but it looks, you know, it's a little scraggly. So we're just going to clean it up a little bit, but keep in mind, this is kind of like cutting hair. You don't want to go overboard with it. You want to do a little bit at a time, because before you know it, you trim it down to nothing. So kind of the same idea where just be careful with how much you trim down your pom-pom. So what you can do as a guide is, I don't know, I kind of just try and find the center. Be mindful of your tail. I take my two donut pieces, kind of squish in between, and you can kind of see then where the ends are that are a little wild. So you just go around, just gently trim them. Make sure you do this over a surface that's easy to clean up. Remember, these are your tails, so be careful you don't snip those away. Okay. Shake it out. Should be a little better. And then you can always go through and just kind of like use your eyes. See where it might need to be trimmed up a little bit. Other than that, there you go. And obviously the more round you make around your original donuts, the thicker and fuller your pom-pom's going to be. But that's pretty much it for making a pom-pom. Really simple, just some household items. You don't need anything fancy. And what I did is I went ahead and I made 2 and put them on the hat like little ears. And voila, I was done. Sewed a label on and all done. There you go.